Hello, good evening, and welcome to Love Talk. And today we are going to break down the walls of the myth of the perfect relationship. Because a lot of people, Lenny, think that if you don't have a perfect relationship, then something's wrong.
Yeah, we even hear people say, you know what, I'm not feeling it. I don't think this is, this chemistry, that this is going to work. And there's no such thing as a perfect relationship, perfect marriage, perfect anything.
Yeah, and if you quit a relationship because it's not perfect, then first of all, you quit too early. And secondly, you'll always be quitting because it's never perfect. Actually, you are in search of perfection. You'll never find it. And this is the common denominator between great inventors, great companies. They're always looking for perfection, striving for perfection. And the day you think you found perfection, you die, you stop living. And so a relationship is very much like this. So today, we have a couple here who've been married for 13 years, and they went through their fair share of problems. And you'll hear their story and how they have made things work. Let's see what happened in the streets of London when people spoke about the problems they went through in their relationships.
Hi, today we are in central London and we are going to hear from the people around here. What is it that they've been through when they got together in marriage or when they moved in together? You know, the kind of challenges you go through, getting to know the person better. And today I have here a couple and I'm going to ask them what their challenge was. So tell me, what was your greatest challenge when you got together?
I believe the bigger challenges, the day by day, is the convivence and the continuous exercise to understand each other and don't fight for any reason, just the big reasons, and try to be very partners. Yes.
For us, or for me, is the most problem is understand the other person. Every time we need carry each other. It's the most thing in marriage.
So for you guys, a challenge was understanding each other more, and
try to be comprehensive and try to put yourself in other people's shoes. Yes.
Okay. So it works for you then?
Yes, have been working about 80 years.
Oh, 8 years.
Yeah, we've been married about 8 years.
I think the greatest challenge was she lives in another city than me, and she has moved to my city in order to live with me.
Oh,
and
so she sacrificed for you?
Yes, and then yes, that's nice. And maybe the other thing is that we at the beginning when we don't have so much money and we need to live with other people and so on. But finally we know we are living together.
So it's about sacrifice mainly. You sacrifice for one another.
Yeah, we sacrifice for one another.
And it works.
Well, at the moment I can say yes, it works, but we will see. I expect yes, but we will see.
You've been together for how long now?
How long are we together? 3 years, I think, or a little bit more.
So that's a good sign.
It's a good sign, yes, I think, yes.
Well, I think when the children come along, that is the greatest challenge, really, because it's a whole new world, and you have to be very patient, and you have to deal with the finance situation and all the strains and stresses of getting a home and all the rest of it. But it's great fun, and once you work together at it, that's the whole secret, really.
And you made it?
Well, only 40 odd years. Still a few to go to get to the 50, but
first 40 years are definitely the worst.
The first
Gets
40
better
years
after that.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So what's your secret, Peter?
Well, when I first met my wife, her mother didn't agree with us. Different religions. She was a Catholic, I was a Protestant, and her mother said it would only last 6 months. And now 44 years later, 47 years later, we have proved her wrong. But there's still a chance that she could be right. No, she's a wonderful lady. I couldn't ask for a better wife. It was love at first sight.
So you saw that in relationships, in the people that we spoke on the street, everybody had to compromise in something to make things work. You need to fix little problems.
Yeah, you need to adjust, isn't it?
Yeah, and we decided to talk about this, Elena, because we want people to give up of believing in this myth that there's a perfect relationship, that things can be perfect.
There's no such a thing, and we know that from our own experiences. I mean, we haven't been married for that long, but we've had our challenges, and it's like, you know, different stages of our lives, different stages of our marriage, and that's how we, you know, we carry on and we overcome.
Absolutely. Now, I'm very excited because we brought a couple here today that we've known for many years, and they have an amazing story to tell you, and you're going to laugh. Hopefully you're not going to cry because their story is really amazing. But we have Alvaro and Aline here. How are you?
Hi,
Well,
thanks for coming.
Thank you for joining us.
Pleasure to be here.
Now, you guys have been married for how long?
13, yes.
13 years. Okay, now the program today is about breaking myths that things are perfect. Your relationship in the beginning, although it was great, it was far from perfect.
Exactly.
Right? Now, you had challenges.
Not only 1, 2, or 3, or 4, plenty of them.
Plenty of them.
So which one you want to
And
talk
actually, there's a few episodes we're going to talk about, but I want to keep for the second half, you're going to hear about when Alvaro tore Aline's clothes.
Yeah.
He tore Aline's clothes.
Rated R. And the kids out of the living room.
And by the way, it wasn't, he didn't tear her clothes out of passion.
Don't say that. Let them think that they did that.
Yeah, it was something else.
Too late for that.
But I don't know who wants to start, but what would you say were the biggest problems you had at the beginning? I mean, you got married thinking everything was going to be rosy and perfect, and what happened?
We got married very young. You know, how old were you? You were 19?
Yeah, I just turned 19.
And I was 21. So very young, and you know, of course we had experiences in the past, and you know, but we didn't have many that would help us to make the marriage work. So like, you know, especially about myself, I didn't have a very good, you know, example in my house. You know, my parents didn't have a very good marriage, so I didn't know exactly what was to be a husband.
Right.
So there was I, you know, married now, and you know, you have your responsibilities. And when we decided to get married, of course we liked each other. We know we have that attraction, and we said, okay, let's make it work. But then the challenges began.
And you, Alvaro, you had relationships before being with Aline.
Yes.
But Aline never had any relationship.
No.
Yeah,
he was my first boyfriend.
Was that a problem as well? Do you think that was a factor?
I believe so, because as he was mentioning here, he had other relationships as well. You know, he mentioned to me that, you know, he was cheated on before, and then he had problems with his parents too, what he was seeing there, you know, in his house as well. And I didn't have any of that. I came, you know, to this relationship. Everything was new to me. I was very naive.
No luggage.
Nothing.
Maybe it's a positive thing.
Yeah, but I was very insecure because of that. So I saw in him as someone that knew a lot, and I didn't know anything about life, anything about, you know, relationships or anything about. So we had a lot of problems because of that.
So did you look up to him like, this is the man, my man, he's going to lead me in life? Is that how you looked at
Yes,
him?
and I made sure that it was really hard for him to, you know, have me. So it's like, okay, now, you know, I believe he's the one. And yes, I was looking up to that. I really thought that once we got married, everything would be wonderful. Just, you know, move on together and do so many things together. Everything would be wonderful.
When did things start to go wrong?
I mean, who are you asking the question?
Well, I don't know who wants to
so
start.
many things.
Well, what should we start about the?
Yeah, what was your main challenge?
No, the clothes. Leave the bombshell of clothes. We're going to leave that for the second part. But what things would you guys argue about?
For example, I used to be really childish, right? Very childish, because, you know, because of the way I was brought up. I didn't really have many experiences like, you know, out there. So I was very childish, and then there was an episode that one day, you know, it just happened that I was talking to my family members, my father, over the phone. And then my husband had this thing to tease me, like, ding, 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 those things. I mean, finally, I was always, he knew how to get me. I wouldn't like, do it.
Buttons, right?
Yes, I was like, stop it. So I was talking to my father over the phone. I think we were 1 year married already.
1 year married, yeah.
Around about 1 year, it was in the very beginning. And then he was there and he took the belt. And of course, not to.
He was playing with the belt.
It's just like,
know how guys do it.
And I was
And you were on the phone with your family during that time,
with
right?
my father,
Yeah.
yes. And then, my father was like, oh, what is going on? It's like, stop doing that. And I was talking with my father on the phone and talking to him, stop doing that. So my father was, having a different picture in his mind. It's like, oh my goodness, something really bad must be happening. He must be hitting her or something. And then suddenly, I don't know, the belt, touched somewhere. And I was very, as I said, I was very sensitive, like very, And then I was like, oh, you hurt me. And then my father over the phone was like, pass the phone over to him. It's like, here.
How was that moment for you?
My goodness, I was expecting him to give me a word of advice, like, take it easy, marriage is not what you think. And the first thing I heard was this: listen, my dear, I'm gonna tell you something once.
It was really bad.
You better hear properly. And I said, what is going on here?
and you
I
have
was just playing with my wife.
And we have to imagine, you were joking, you're playing with her, right?
But imagine the way that I portrayed that to my father, because he wasn't there.
She was transmitting something else.
Something negative, right?
Yeah, something negative.
Because of the way that I was, you hurt
because she was very
me.
fragile, very fragile. And
so what did he say to you?
Girl
so he
and
turned to me and said,
everything.
listen, I have my ways of solving problems. And I said, my goodness, what kind of...
My father was like...
Like a mafia boss,
right? Yes. I can move my fingers here and I know I can contact some people. He said that.
Oh my God.
I said, contact some people. What are you talking about? And then I looked at Aline like this.
That sounds like my father. That sounds a bit like my father.
Yeah.
Wow.
But actually there, you were saying you learned a lesson.
Yes, I did.
What lesson did you learn?
My goodness, that day, it was, it's funny now, but after, everything was happening, when I saw him with the phone, I had no idea what my father was saying until now.
You just found out now?
Yes.
Okay.
So I was like, what? Okay. But anyways, his reaction shocked me, was what woke me up that day. Because he was crying, and it was the very first time that I saw him crying ever.
I was very upset. I felt betrayed.
Because it's like,
instead of solving the problem with me,
went to the family.
And he had a different
worse.
image of my father as well. It's like someone that he could look up to.
Yeah.
And I was breaking that because of the way I was passing that to him.
Because of a childish
Exactly.
reaction.
So when I saw him that way, I was like, what have I done?
It's like the
Just
penny
like
dropped,
I came
isn't
back to, my senses were like, oh my goodness, what have I done?
I even told her, I said, look, your whole family now think I'm a monster. Look
And
at
they
that.
did for a long time.
Yeah.
Everything that would happen, because because of the way I was, I wouldn't take care of myself properly, and then I wouldn't eat properly. I started losing weight, and people would always think that it was his fault because of the way that I was talking.
Some of them, they thought that I was mistreating her. That's why she was losing weight. I wasn't feeding her.
No, not feeding me.
Oh my God! Now we know that this is not true. Okay.
But actually, you learned a very important lesson, because lesson number one in a marriage, in a relationship, is don't go to your family with your problem.
Yeah, don't expose your other half, because these things you are supposed to deal with, behind closed doors. You need to understand each other. You need to work things out.
And the purpose of this program, Lenny, is to show people, we want you to understand something, that if you've been told that a relationship that is supposed to work is perfect, it's not true.
It's a lie.
It's not true. It's okay to have problems. If you love that person, you're going to learn to solve them. Now, when we come back in the second half, we will hear about the clothes-tearing episode, but we will also hear how their marriage is today, because these are episodes. It doesn't mean that your marriage was bad. It was good, but these were things you had to adjust and learn. When we come back, you're going to hear about that episode and how they managed to work things out. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Now, I'm sure that you are sitting on the edge of your seat, just waiting to hear the time that Alvaro tore his wife's clothes. And it wasn't just one item of clothing.
And it was a red coat.
A red coat.
The first one, and then
there was a second
to the other
one.
ones, yes.
Tell us about that. What happened?
No, one day I went to this extreme of tearing her clothes. And, you know, it was shocking afterwards, even for me. I said, my goodness, what have I done? You know, because I saw the impact, the way she looked at that, and she was looking at me wondering, what is wrong with him? And I knew that I did something wrong. And, you know,
First you
I
started
was
talking,
upset.
right?
Yeah.
You started mentioning about my clothes, which I didn't find anything wrong with them.
Yeah.
So you were saying what? I don't like those clothes on you, or?
No, the thing is, I said, look, this red this red overcoat is too, you know, extravagant, you know, or
it's too red.
Yeah, too red, and you know, I don't think you should wear that. But see, I wasn't explaining to her why. You know, she looked at the red coat and said, "But what is wrong?" And I said, "No, just don't wear it." Because deep down inside, I didn't want to tell her that I was an insecure person. Because she didn't know about my past.
So she looked beautiful on that coat, right?
Yeah.
She looked really nice on that coat.
Yes, it was.
Even today, I look at red coats and I sometimes remember you were wearing. But one day she was wearing. I went to the shop with her and she put on a red coat and I said, "Oh, that looks nice."
Yeah, so it started like mentioning, it's like, "Oh, why you going with these clothes and everything?" It's like, oh, you know, why? What is wrong with it? And then that's what he said when one day we arrived home. It wasn't in the streets, of course. We arrived home and he started looking at me. Let me see here, and then he just did like this.
No, I showed her. I said, "Look, like, do you like this red coat? Yes. Are you gonna wear it? Yes, I will." I said, "You will not wear anymore." And then I tore it.
Oh my God!
And then I went to the other items that I didn't want her to wear.
I was with the dress, and then it's like he was like, "Oh, you like?" We did the same, but on me, like,
yeah.
And to me, my reaction was, "What? What just happened? My clothes!" And it's like, this one you're not gonna wear as well. This one not as well.
So it's like he.
And I was like, what?
He didn't know how to.
Happening?
He didn't know how to deal with that problem.
No.
So he escalated the problem. And then what was your reaction? You were telling us before.
I was completely shocked. I was like, what happened? Why is he doing that? You know? And he even tried to go with me to buy clothes as well. It's like, okay, let's buy clothes together. It's like, okay, fine, because now I have almost nothing left.
Dark.
So he would go like for those like old ladies clothes.
Granny clothes.
Granny clothes. And I told him, it's a granny clothes. I want the hot pink one. It's like, what? No, you never, you know. So we were having these clashes and I had no idea why.
See, because I wasn't telling her. I wasn't opening up to her.
When was it that you finally told her the reason why you didn't want her and the reason behind, the root behind that?
You see, as we were talking here, I had problems in the past, you know. I was cheated on and, you know, as I said, you know, my parents didn't have a good relationship. So I was afraid of going through the same situation again. And I was trying to prevent that from happening using my strategies that today I know were not the right ones. So I went to this extreme of tearing up her clothes, and later on I said, my goodness, why am I doing this? And I realized that, you know, I was bringing something from the past. You know, my previous girlfriends used to wear, you know, tight clothes and
revealing clothes.
I remember her
clothes.
back in the day. She didn't used to wear any revealing clothes, but you were still insecure.
I was insecure because I didn't want the same thing to happen. You know, and I was
so he went to the extreme, and then he was passing to me like a wrong message. I wouldn't get it the way he was expressing himself.
Although, for example, you said these things of the past. Although you were saying that you trusted your wife completely, right? But it's just something that was there.
It's something that stays in your mind. You know,
And it's interesting because I don't believe you were like this while you were single.
No.
This is like it was awakened after you got someone. Right? It's like when we got married, there were things in me that I didn't know were there. I too was very possessive, you know, But up until then, I didn't know I was like that. So
Yeah.
I believe the same thing
I even
happened
told
with
him,
you.
like, you deceived me. You were not like this when you were dating. What happened? Now you're just waiting for the right moment when you get married. Now you say,
So
all
the
this,
the
you
problem
get
of
rid
these
of my
roots,
clothes. And
you know,
Yeah.
they make you behaving in ways that you don't want to.
Yeah.
But because of fear, you know, I was afraid of being one more statistic, you know, one more divorcee. I said, you know what, let me do something about it because I know where things are heading to. And, you know, I was thinking that things were heading to the wrong direction when they were not.
How did you solve the problem? Because, I mean, like we said earlier, you didn't have a problematic marriage. You had some problems. You had some episodes that had roots. How did you fix those things?
you need little by little he started changing, you know, the trust he started trusting me more, and then started realizing that, you know, that was not the way to pass things to me. And he started changing actually when we would go out. It's like, okay, what about that red that red shirt, that red.
But did you actually open up to her and tell her that, you know, this is actually how I feel, these are my fears? Did you actually say
No, I didn't
that?
get to that, but I started working on myself.
Little by little.
Dealing with that.
Yeah,
It didn't
dealing with it.
actually like
Only later on, because in the beginning, you see, I didn't want to really expose myself, but later on she started helping me, you know. And
But did you
to
notice,
change.
Aline, that he was insecure?
I didn't understand why he was so possessive
Okay, so
back then. Because I wasn't giving him reasons. But then little by little, as he got to know me as well, and then we started growing the relationship and the trust, that's when things started to change.
Yeah. And also, I think it's important for women to understand, especially you that are watching us at home, that a man, it's very difficult for a man to talk about what his weaknesses are,
to
because
expose his intimacy.
One would have thought that after, you know, her clothes were torn, that maybe you would give an explanation.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's very difficult for a man to do that because the man is expected to be strong. So if he says, "Oh, I'm weak in this area," it's like he's becoming less of a man, right? So subconsciously we feel like that. So maybe you say, "Look, but why doesn't my husband tell me that he has a problem or that he has a root to behaving this way?" And maybe he doesn't do that because he feels, I won't be a man anymore.
He feels that he's going to be less of a man if he exposes his weaknesses. When, you know, the truth is that when you expose your weaknesses to your wife, she's going to help you to, you know, to work things out.
And you're not exposing it to an enemy. You're exposing it to someone who loves you, who's your fan, who wants to help you. So this person will always try to make things better.
And it really helps. It really helps when we know why. Sometimes I will see him upset with something. It's like, oh my goodness, you're upset over this little thing here. And then, okay, Aline, sit down here, let me explain.
Nowadays
this
I
and
do
that
that.
and the other is what is happening.
Because I learned
so it really helps.
my
It really
mistake.
helps. So I understand why it's okay. I understand now why he's behaving like this. Now
So
I
just
understand.
even an example, you know, like now, today, you know, after so many years of, you know, learning with our experience, she looks at me and she says, "Why are you acting like this? I don't do like I used to do in the past." I said, "Look, I don't want to give you the wrong impression. Let's talk about how I feel." And I open up.
And he wouldn't do that before.
And
he wouldn't do that before. Now he does.
I know the feeling, because even though we talk about it, it's hard. We have to force ourselves to talk because we don't want to. Women, they just talk. They say, "Oh, I'm feeling like this." We men, we know we have to do it, but we don't.
Even with other men, it's hard. Because
We understand you, don't we, Aline?
Yes.
We understand you. But how is your... Sorry, we're going to...
Go ahead.
I wanted to know how the marriage is now and everything, because we want people at home to see that, you know, you can survive.
You can go through through the problem.
Of course, you will survive. Everyone goes through these things. Oh, but my parents never did. Maybe they never told you. Maybe they were good at hiding it.
Yeah.
You know, because that's something that couples can very well do, can very easily do, because it's quite, you know, shameful. It's like you are looking at their weaknesses, and no one wants to show that. But you see, we made it. We're still making it.
And today we can look back at these things and laugh, right?
Exactly.
We had a great time here.
Today I look at what I did and I say, "My goodness, why did I have to
Yeah.
do that?
Where was my head when
Where was
I...
my head exactly?
And-
Why
and
didn't
you
I
know-
just talk to her and told her
And
how
this
I
is
felt?
just the tip of the iceberg. So many things that we went through because of that,
Yeah.
because of his insecurities and my insecurities.
And
But
it's
when
so
we
funny,
discover
isn't it?
that when we start being more open to
And
one
honest.
another,
And just
honest,
you know,
and
a small detail. I thought I didn't have it, this insecurity. But with the experience, you start thinking with yourself, my goodness, I'm doing this because of that and the other. No, I think I'm not. But then I said, no, I am, and that's the way I am, and I have to change. You know, because there are people that they don't want to assume that they have a root there.
so they'll never change.
They
They'll
never change.
work
But I
on
said, you know
it.
what? Let me break my pride here now. I'm acting this way because of what happened before. Okay, what can I do? You know, it's not the end of the day. Let me deal with this.
Yeah.
And you know, it was worth it because today we are still together.
So
and
both
I can
of
say,
us, both of us had insecurities. Both
Yeah.
of us had to deal with our insecurities. My insecurities were bringing, making him act in that way, and then his insecurities was making me act in the way that I did.
Yeah.
So we had to deal with that, with our insecurities.
So you
And
are
work on
proof
them.
that there is no such a thing as a perfect relationship.
Not at all.
And actually, if anybody else says that there is, they're lying. Right? And people, sometimes we have couples, everything is perfect. It's not.
No, and do you know something? These kind of problems, these kind of challenges brings you closer to one another. There are things that only you know about each
Yeah.
other. You share things that are unique. And it's just a shame that we don't have any more time to, talk. But by the way, everything is fine now, right?
Oh yes, yes.
Everything's
She
okay.
can wear the red coat now.
Good.
That's not a problem.
I even would like to suggest to you
Maybe
at
next
home.
time we come, she can come with a red coat.
Yes.
That's a good one. Something I would like to remind those who are at home is, for the woman, you have to pay more attention at small things. Why is he behaving that way? Why is he talking that way? Why is he... because like we learned, it's harder for them to come and say, listen, I feel insecure.
And maybe he won't tell you.
Probably he will never. But if you are wise, he will make him tell you in a different way. Or something that you can do is to... Because behind an action, there's always a reason why. Why is he acting like this? So be a bit more, what's the word?
Intuitive.
Intuitive. There is always a reason why behind every action.
That's right. I want to thank Alvaro and Alina for being on the program. It was
Yes.
great having
Great.
you here.
It was lovely.
And
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And I want to tell you something. Listen, don't buy into this idea that your friends tell you and that you see on TV that unless you have a relationship where there's no disagreements, where there's no arguments, then your relationship is not worth having. Think about it. If you buy a car will give you problems. Will give you, sometimes you need to do things to it. And it doesn't mean you need to sell the car. You don't get rid of it. You look after it, right? A relationship needs even more maintenance, even more work. And if you buy into this idea that it has to be perfect, then you will never have a relationship long enough to make it work. When you start a relationship, there is an adjustment period. You will need to work hard to make things work. And once you fine-tune those things, you have something that is worth keeping forever. Okay? So work on doing that. Erase from your mind the idea of a perfect relationship, a problem-free relationship, because that doesn't exist. And I'm sure that with time, with hard work from both of you, things will get to the moment where you have very few problems, very few disagreements, and you have an amazing relationship. Okay, it's been a pleasure to have you with us. Until next time, have a wonderful day.